right, this episode of the Peak Nation podcast is brought to you by the Scrapyard and Harris Auto Sales. Uh, Matt Harris, one of the best guys I know by far. He's a one of those guys that's able to make dreams happen, get the right people together, and he's an edifier. He's a guy that'll let you know what you need to fix and what's great about you, and he'll help you push you to your dreams, man. So go over to the Scrapyard, check him out, and also he'll do right by you, selling you a vehicle. Trevor, what's going on, brother?
Man, just a lot. Just trying to get ready for this spot and say I got a shiner. It seems like every time I get on a podcast or have to do some kind of promo video or something, man, I got some kind of shiner going on. But it's going good, man. I'm glad to just glad to be back home. Around my people. I was telling somebody the other day they was talking about like nice having me back around and stuff, and I was like, man, it's a real superpower, being here and, being around your fan base and stuff, family and friends. And I'm just thankful to be back and thankful that we got the scrapyard going now, man. Scrapyard MMA, 831 Mission Ridge Road, Rossville, Georgia. Worked my tail off over there, Kyle, trying to get that place ready, man. It was certainly a job, man. I don't think anybody realizes how hard I really worked over there, man. But we got some mats in there, got a cage being delivered from South Carolina tomorrow around lunchtime. So it's coming together, man. I'm excited about it. It isn't anything fancy by all means, but it's raw and it's old school. And if you're in this area and you're looking to get some work in, you want some rounds, you want to do jiu-jitsu, whatever the case may be, I mean, we've got a little bit of everything. He's fixing to open up the classes and get the jiu-jitsu side of things going. We've already started meeting up over there and training and sparring and stuff in the evenings at 6. But he should be announcing the classes with the times here coming up in the next few days, I would think. So it's going good, man.
Yeah, that getting back to kind of your roots, right? That old school training style, fighting style. This episode we're kind of talking about redirection, right? It seems like sometimes, man, the Lord will he'll take you outside of what you were used to kind of gain knowledge, but then a lot of times he'll bring you back to your base, back to what made you you. Is that what you kind of feel like? This fight can help building this scrapyard. It kind of feels like you're spending more time with Jeff Powell, your original, you're the OG, the striking coach that kind of helped start this whole thing. Is that what it kind of feels like, man?
Yeah, kind of, man. In my head, this whole camp, even before the camp even started, man, my whole theme that I've been playing in my head's kind of just been like back to my roots. Just trying to get back to being me, trying to get back to doing the things that I set out to do whenever I started all of this stuff. And man, honestly, like, as far as where my career's at right now and kind of the way everything's gone these last couple, man, I feel like it's a little bit of deservingness.
Yeah.
That's just brutal honesty, man. I've kind of, I set out on a mission whenever I started all this stuff. I had some big plans and big promises to God and everything, and I kind of got away from them promises. I was broken, man. I was just so broken. Didn't really know how to, I knew how to navigate it, but I wasn't doing it. Get back in the Word, get close to God, get around people that's godly. I knew what to do, but I was just sold up and went to the woods, man. Just kind of disconnected from everybody and everything for a little bit and tried to, get out there and find God. And what I mean by deservingness, man, is like, I kind of drifted off from him. Didn't really do the things that I was supposed to do. Didn't really witness like I should have, and I really went against everything that I've stood for, and not everything that I've stood for, but man, I went against a lot of things that I believed and a lot of things that I said. You can watch my interview after the fight in Abu Dhabi, man, and like told everybody in the world, like my mission was to, prove people that I did belong here. that I had the right coaches, that I would become a champion with the coaches and the team that I had around me. And then, had that good things going on with my manager, Steve and Ruby. And then some other things happened, man. I fired my management team. I left my team here at home, went out to Colorado, and it's just, man, Steve's great now. Steve, I'm sorry for the way, things kind of sorry for the way I done you, man. But, I appreciate you and Ruby for sticking with me and helping me out again, man. But I told him, I called him not long after I got back home and was having a good conversation with him and just kind of pouring my heart out to him, because I'm a pretty loyal person, man. I mean, I'm almost loyal to a fault. I'll get myself in some trouble over some loyalty, but I just told him, how sorry I was and everything. And I told him the same thing. I was like, man, I feel like I deserve everything I've gotten. I've went against everything I said. I talked about my team and how far I could go with my team. I talked about you and, all these things. I stick with my people, and then I fired you guys and I left my team. And there's just a bunch of things, man. I've kind of felt like it was deserved. I feel like God kind of sometimes it's that redirection you're talking about, man. I mean, it's all redirection and trying to figure it out and put the puzzles back together and get back to being me. And I can't tell you how many people I've bumped into, Kyle, and they'll be like, man, you ain't really fighting like the fighting the same, you're not really, what happened, and it started bothering me a good bit, man. I'm just like trying all these things, and I think I let the outside world kind of get in my head about my technique and everything, and I'm just gonna be me, man. I mean, in this next fight, I'm just gonna get in there and try to. I ain't gonna try to be me. I'm just gonna get in there and be me, man. And I've got, like you said, I'm back with Jeff and over there with Matt, and I'm working with Rocky Quinn. I'm back with my people, and I don't mean that in a way of like back with my people that the people in Colorado wasn't my people, because, man, Dwayne and his family, everybody over at Onyx Sports, my buddy John Kuhneman, he's fixing to fight here in another hour or two. Man, I didn't mean it in light like that. Like I built, man, I miss Colorado. You know what I mean? Like I miss them mountains out there, man. I miss Dwayne and his family. I miss so many things. Like if I could live in two places at once, man, I promise you, I'd have one of me out there on them mountains running around doing them 14ers and training with Dwayne and at Onyx, and I'd be here, daggum, trying to find a big whitetail buck deer to lay down on the ground, man, and with Jeff and Matt and Rocky and, all my boys here, but you can't, man. And as far as I think this is, I'm going to be going out to Colorado and spending time with Dwayne and them, man. I love them too much. I mean, I miss them dearly. I think about them about every day, but I don't know. I'm just want to get back to being me, man. I don't know. I just want to get back to being me and get back, really, really close to the Lord and feeling like that I'm doing my part. Like I wasn't as effective out in Colorado. Like nobody, I mean, people knew me out there, like as far as the fighting and stuff goes, but like here around the house, man, like I mean a lot more. And I don't mean that in a big, boastful way by all means. I mean that in the most humble way. I just feel like as far as my walk with the Lord right now and as far as being able to be a servant to the Lord, I feel like I'm just it's the magnitude of what it means is way more here than what it is there. Like, you know what I mean? I've got people here that actually know me and people here that can relate to me, with whether it be with drug addictions or whatever the case may be, man. It's just I feel like I'm way more effective here. So we'll see, man. I mean, I believe I'm where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah, I was excited that you were coming back. I remember talking to Jeff Powell. He was excited to have you and to be able to train with you more often. Jeff is one of these guys, one of these minds of the game that's it's just you just don't there's not people like Jeff Powell willing to break down film, study fighters and put the work in. I wanted to ask you about just getting back to that. I've seen you with Jeff, and I've seen you in the past. I've been with you for most of your professional career. I commentated 2 of your fights. I've seen you fight at 185 pounds. I've seen guys that had great jujitsu, unable to hold you down, unable to do anything with you. Um, and I've seen you be able to do the Trevor Peak thing. And what that is that's pure strength, pure heart, pure determination, and you will finish a fight. And even in these last couple of fights, no one's been able to finish you, Trevor. Uh, the UFC has some of the top fighters, not some, has the top fighters in the world. And the guys that you fought at 155 were the best that the world has to offer, and they still couldn't finish you. My question is, at 145, man, it's going to be pretty easy for Trevor Peak to turn loose and do the Trevor Peak thing. I don't see anybody. It just might as a fan, as a friend, take that all out. Just have me as a guy that watches fights. You are going to be super dangerous at 145. Do you feel that? Have you sparred with somebody at 140 or that fights at 145 pounds?
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. Well, I mean, 45. We've all. I mean, you've been in the mix of the conversations. I mean, 45's kind of been on the table for a long, long time. Even, I mean, when I was running undefeated for a long time, I mean, we've always talked about 145. I mean, it's come. We wanted to get the weight cut and stuff figured out, and all that. And Megan, she's got me dialed in, man, with the weight cut. I'm not really too concerned about it at all. But yeah, man, we was talking about 45 and everything, and actually, you asked me if I'd ever sparred a 145 or, got some good rounds in, and I have, man, and I feel like I've always handled my way stronger most of the time, man. But like what got me is I was out in Colorado, man, and I was sparring with this 145er, and I didn't even know what weight class he was in, and man, I really just handled him. I mean, anything I wanted to do with him, it really kind of felt like a rest round for me compared to the other rounds. I mean, I was sparring some big old boys too, so he kind of felt like a little bit of a break. And I watched him after this last fight, man, or whenever it was. I saw him on the Contender Series, and he was fighting like a super, super highly touted prospect, like the guy, whoever it was he was fighting. I can't remember his name, but man, this guy was like supposed to be like it. And that dude gave him a pretty dang good run for his money, man. And I was just like, I would kill either one of these guys. And I talked to Matt about it. I was like, man, I think we do need to go on down to 45. Just, I was born in the wrong era, Kyle. It's
That's true.
I was born in the wrong era, man. This game's getting so saturated with athletes, and I'm a fighter, man. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm an athlete. I can figure out, other than golf, I'm pretty good about anything I try. But I'm a fighter more than I am an athlete, man. And a lot of these dudes are straight athletes. Like that last guy I fought, man, I ain't got a lick of respect for that guy. I mean, at least Charlie, man, like, I was thinking about it, at least Charlie in his fight, he like adapted, made adjustments, and did what he had to do to get the win. This last guy I fought, you could tell his whole camp was just holding on and praying. I mean, like, let's get a hold of this guy and let's hold on and pray that he don't get loose from us. But that's kind of what. There's another thing about this 45 stuff, man. Like I'm as strong as these 55ers. I'm definitely as strong as them. My frame isn't quite as big as theirs, and my strength's running out. But like with these 45ers, with my frame and everything, like I should be stronger than about everybody in the division, and I know I'll put my power up against anybody in the division. I mean, I'll fight Josh Emmett tomorrow and see who's more powerful. I mean, he's about the heaviest hitter now that Elia's gone that I can think of in the division, and I'll stand and rock 'em, sock 'em with him all day of the week, every day of the week, man. I ain't concerned when it comes to power. People's worried about me being able to take my power down with me, but I'm not, man. I can stand on my head and knock somebody out. I mean, I've got some pop, and I know I'll carry it down with me too. And I should be a lot faster and just just more calculated in some areas and less in others. I guess if that makes any kind of sense whatsoever, man. I just don't want to feel bridled back anymore. I want to go in there and just turn him loose.
Yeah, well, a lot of guys that fight at 155 now, they started their career at 45, right? I mean, Dustin Poirier, he was there at 45. Conor McGregor was there at 45. Dan Hooker, he was there at 45 at one time, right? And then he went back to 55. Some of the
So
some of the guys that, I admire most now that were kind of had the old school approach to fighting, that were fighters, they were at 45, then they became some of the best 55ers. I'm sure 55 in this long career that you're going to have in the UFC, which is going to happen. And everybody's going to put on notice May 3rd in Iowa. The machine's fixing to turn back onto Trevor Peak. I'm sure 55 will probably happen again later on in the career, but 45, you are going to conquer 45. 45 is, you're going to put a flag on 45, I feel like.
yeah, I think so too, man. I mean, I'll have to go back up one of these days, man. I mean, age catches up with you, and that sweat don't hardly come off as easy once you get a certain age. And just, I mean, I've got plans to, well, hopefully one of these days be challenging for, both titles. So I'm planning on, making a run at this one, at this division, and getting in there, and hopefully getting that strap wrapped around me one of these days, and then moving up. It was supposed to be the opposite, man. Like, I mean, I was gonna run at 55 for as long as I could, and then try to get the belt at 55, and then once I was making a real big paycheck, then I was like, I'll cut 45 at that point. But these last couple of weight cuts have been so easy, or so much, I don't want to say easier, but so much easier than the past, man. It's like, I'm not really all that concerned, with the cut as bad as I was, a long couple of years ago. You'd said 45, and I was like, you can kiss it, dude. I mean, I not really kiss it, but I was just saying they're gonna pay me. You know what I mean? Like, when I go to 45, they're gonna pay me. But these last, like, Megan's got me dialed in, man. I'm not as concerned about it, like I said. So I don't know. We'll get there and get this Korean knocked out rather quickly.
Yeah. Well,
Did you hear how they done me though?
yeah.
Yeah, man. So for the world, if you don't know, they put me in Des Moines, which I was saying Des Moines when I first did it. I don't even know how to pronounce the crap. Why are you gonna put me there? And then look, they put me in Iowa in May, and then they're gonna be in Atlanta in June. So I'm gonna try to knock his cat out very quickly. That's all I'm gonna say.
And I believe it will happen. Now, also, I want to tell you, man, for the guys in Iowa, there are a lot of fans that have reached out on the Peak Nation socials, and you've got a lot of fans that are saying, "Hey, man, we're going to Iowa. This will be my first fight. I can't wait to see Trevor fight." I mean, it has flooded when they found out that you were going to be in Iowa, man. It has flooded. So I think
Yeah.
you'll have a pretty big, you will have a large crowd there rooting for Peak Nation for sure.
Yeah, I think so too, man. I'm pretty excited about it. I didn't usually get I don't get the crowd on my side if I can get in front of them, man. I was just picking at them about the Atlanta stuff, man. I really was tore up about it the first day I found out about it, man. Just because that my whole fan base comes to Atlanta, man. You know they do. You know what I mean? But I mean, I was pretty tore up for the first day that I found out about it. But man, I'm just so grateful to be out of the Apex, man. I hate that place. I
You're the
mean, it's
king of
where
UAE, though. You know,
do
you.
what now?
I said you're the king of UAE. You took over
Yeah,
that
yeah.
place once you went over there.
Man, I hope we go back. I want to go back. Matt don't ever want to go back, but I had a good time, man. I enjoyed it. I mean, it was a beautiful country, and I loved it, man. But yeah, he don't ever want to go back.
Too far.
Yeah, Matt isn't exactly the best tourist either, man. He kind of don't do much. It just actually most of the time when we go and do these trips and everything, at the end of it, he's like, "Will y'all send me some pictures?" Because dude, he ain't much of a tourist.
Well, yeah, man. The one verse that stuck out to me, I had wrote it down and sent it to you, is Jeremiah 10:23. I know, O Lord, that the way of man is not in himself, that it is not in man who walks to direct his steps. So basically, man is not in control of where he goes or what he does, even though sometimes we think we are. The Lord ultimately is in control of us. Has it felt like that this last 6 months, man? That the Lord has been a part of your journey?
Yeah, yeah, it has, man. It has. I feel like oftentimes myself though, I kind of get myself in a predicament where it might not feel like he's around, but that ain't nothing to do with him. That's all me, man. Like I said, we got pretty bad off mentally after this last fight, man. I couldn't train or nothing for a minute, man. I mean, I guess I could have did a little road work and ran or something, but I messed my daggum. I about broke my right wrist in that first round of the last bout, man. I mean, you can even see me like I hit him, and I'm kind of doing like this, and then I turn it into looking like it's a feint. But I was trying to shake the pain out of that wrist. I lost about all my strength in it after that. After I hit him, I punched him right in the solar plex or right under his chest, and man, I don't know. It jammed me up. I didn't have my wrist wrapped good enough or something. I don't know, but I couldn't do anything. Was out of the gym for a while, so I got pretty got a little depressed, man. Go to some dark places, but it's just it's just life, man. It don't matter what you are, what you're doing in life. Everyone, I feel like almost every single individual in the world goes through little head spaces where they don't want to be here or whatever the case may be, man. We all it's just life.
Yeah.
You know, it's just life.
In the word, sometimes I'm reminded, Hebrews says we have a great high priest who has been tempted in every way that we have. And sometimes, when you're reading verses like that, you're like, yeah, but, Jesus had the power to turn fishes to bread. Like, how does that relate? And then you remember the garden, where he was sweating blood and he knew what his fate was going to be. And he said, you know, Lord, if there's any way that I don't, basically, I'm just paraphrasing, that I don't have to go to this cross, if there's any other way that I don't have to do what's fixing that come up, he said, uh, if there's any way, Lord, he in the word, he says, if you can take this cup from me, if it can pass from me and I don't have to do this. But in the end, he said, but let your will be done. So yeah, you talk about a dark place, knowing what's coming ahead. Jesus was right there. He went through the hard things. He went through everything that and when he came as God came in flesh, he understands our troubles and how we experience heartache and how we experience pain. Uh, but ultimately, the Lord is in control, and everything He puts us through, and everything that He has us to go through will ultimately, we know the Word says that, for those who love God, all things work out for the good, for all things, and He means things in our lives. So I think you being human, Trevor, and you being uh, the person that you are, and even in your failings, the fact that you give God the glory, that helps so many people. The fact that even if you stray or even if you go in that dark place, the fact that you love the Lord, that you still give God the glory, that's the hey man, that's this moment right here that you're in and the past of where you've been is going to define your career and your success. Because people can go back to this. People can remember this. Well, yeah, when Trevor was down and out, he still trusted in the Lord. When Trevor, when his career looked like it may have been on the rocks, he still trusted the Lord. This time right here, man, makes you a better and bigger witness than you can ever imagine that when you do get those victories and you do start rattling off those wins and you give God the glory, this time right here is what's going to make that mean something. So I wanted to tell you that, because I honestly believe it with everything that I am, that you stay in the course right now is what's going to make those great moments be meaningful. And I think that's what God has planned for your life, man.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I think it's going to be. I think life's gonna be all right, man. I know if I do my part, man, I do the things that I'm supposed to do and deliver on my promises and my vows that I made all them years ago, man. I know if I do what I'm supposed to do, then everything else will fall into place, and that's what I'm gonna do, man. I don't know if I guess you'd call it the spirit of God or voice of God. I don't, whatever, however you want to call it, but man, since this last fight, I don't know why, but in my head, I just keep saying like, you'll do it on a loss, or you won't do it again. And I don't know where. I mean, I know what it is. I've kept saying it to Miles. Miles Peak. I kept saying it around Miles, and he would be like, "What are you talking about? what is What are you talking about?" And I would just say it, and then he'd leave it at that, and then another day I'd say it, and then he just kept on. He's like, "Oh, okay, man." And then I explained it to him the other night, and he looked at me and he was like, "Dang, man." I shared a little brief part of my testimony, something that happened a long time ago, and talked about it with him a little bit, and he was like, "You had a vision, man." And I was like, "Yeah, I know I did." He was like, "Yep, you better get on it." And it's just, I don't know, man. It's just some scary stuff, dude. Like, you don't want to fail. You don't want to be a bad example for anybody or lead anybody astray or anything like that. It's just, but as far as you'll do it on a loss or you won't do it again, like, I just believe it all ties back into like, you'll either be who you said you'd be and do the things you said you'd do, or you're never doing this stuff again. The Lord gives it to you, and He will definitely take it away from you, man. And this has been a rather big, responsibility and stuff, man. I mean, I'm the first person in our area that's ever made it. A lot of eyes on me and everything, man. And I think that's partly why I shell up and hide so much sometimes, because I just don't want to screw up. I don't want to do anything that gets all these kids, around these places just bent out of frame and think, I just don't want to do anything that gets anybody hemmed up with God, and I definitely don't want to do anything that makes Jesus look bad. You know what I mean? So I think that is partly why I struggle with getting out in the open sometimes, and I kind of shell up and go to the woods, like I said, man. But I most definitely know that the time has come for me to do the things that I said I'd do and be the person that I know I'm meant to be. I got on my knees in that debut fight with the UFC. After debut fight, I got on my knees and I told everybody, I was so glad that I didn't have to wonder what my purpose was anymore, or what my identity was anymore. And somewhere around the years, I've kind of lost it, and I know what it is. When I lost it, I mean, I just ain't been doing it, but I'll get back to doing it. I know I can. I know I will, and I'm going to. I mean, as far as all that kind of stuff goes, man, I don't even know if I'm allowed to talk about it. I probably don't need to. I ain't gonna go into no kind of crazy details, man. But I do know that as long as everything goes according to plan, Torres Finney and myself both have gotten a massive, massive, massive responsibility as far as like a position, something that's been offered to us. And honestly, man, it blows my mind, that anybody would ever even, consider me for anything like that. I'm getting a little emotional thinking about it, but hoping we can get that stuff kicked off and get to announcing it and try to get some funding to get it going. It's really cool stuff. If you like fighting and you like Jesus, man, you're going to think it's cool. And I'll talk with Matt and, another gentleman here coming up and see exactly what I can say and what I can get out in the open, as far as all this pertaining to this stuff, man. But I ain't never in my life been offered something that has such a title and is such a big responsibility, so hopefully we can get that stuff announced soon. But I don't know, man. I'm just going to chase after God as hard as I've chased after some of these other things in this world. And I know everything else will, like I said, I know it'll fall into place, man. God loves us. He wants us to do good.
Yeah. Well, I know, and I don't want to turn this, into anything, but are you ever are you worried that you're going to say the wrong thing? Is that what it kind of feels like? Like you're always on the spotlight, like Bryce Mitchell, who said he'd go fishing with Hitler, right? Like,
Dang it, Bryce. I told somebody too, I said, I'd have went fishing with Hitler, but I'd have come back to the house by myself with some fish. They'd be like, where's that dude at? What dude? I don't know what dude you're talking about, but
you haven't said that, Trevor. I was messing, I was messing with Steve, uh, Swedish, and it's like, and I sent that to you and Miles. Like first question of the Peak Nation podcast. So, Trevor, how do you feel about Hitler?
yeah, I don't. I ain't with it, man. I mean, there was some. I've actually done a little digging myself on certain things that Bryce said, and not anything to do with Hitler being a good guy or purging the gayness out and all that stuff. But the burning the books and stuff like that was transgender books that they was burning, and there was a couple of things that he said that was maybe all right, but he's Bryce is a trip, man. I like old Bryce, and I guess I always will unless he. I don't know. I ain't gonna say that. I like Bryce, but he's a character, man. I think he gets saying some wild things sometimes.
I think he's a genuine person. You know,
Hey, man, when I've talked to Bryce, dude, I've got Bryce's phone number in my phone right now. I mean, when I've talked to him, man, and seen him in person, man, he's always been so genuine to me. Like he seems like a pretty genuine guy, man. I mean, honestly, I don't know why he said that about Hitler. I don't know what he researched and what he found out that give him that kind of I don't know, that kind of thought, but it is what it is. We get misguided all the time. Every one of us do. We get facts mixed up, read something that ain't right, and before we know it, here we are out here believing something that's not true at all. So I've actually prayed for Bryce in that whole situation. Hope he gets all that, maybe all that'll die down for him and he'll get back to being Arkansas's, pride and
thug,
joy.
thug nasty.
Yeah, I think he is still, he's all right. He's still in a good place in his career. He's got a tall order ahead of him though,
Yeah.
Gene Silva guy. We're trying to go out there in July, beginning of July to wherever it is they're at in Sao Paulo, Brazil. I think is where they're at. We're trying to go out there in July to kind of kick off this stuff that I was previously talking about with Torres and Matt and everybody. Like we're planning a big trip to there to train with the Fight Nerds and get this other stuff kicked off. So we'll see, man.
Do you think you and Bryce might ever cross paths, fighting paths? You think?
I would think. I mean, he's battle of the rednecks, brother. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it's a fun fight to match up, man. I mean, just cause his background and my background. I mean, we're both just some good old country boys that like to scrap, and I think it'd be I think it'd be. I'm not looking to just fight Bryce. You know what I mean? I like the dude. I'm not even like just excited about fighting him, but if they make the fight, I think it'll be a fun time. No hard feelings going in there at all. But when the cage door closes, I got to put food on my table, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Bryce he's an entertaining guy for sure.
yeah, yeah, he is, man. He's a trip. He is. He's certainly a trip, man.
So yeah, he's got a tall task ahead of him. Do you think? What do you think another loss for Bryce does to him? Do you think they kind of, or you think they're looking for him to lose, or just yeah?
Yeah, I do. Dana was not very happy about that, comment he made. So,
Yeah.
once I have to delete that out. My dog's in there acting crazy.
Sorry. Yeah,
But
they get behind, they get behind guys, and in the UFC, I've noticed there is a lot of free speech, right? You can pretty much say whatever you want to say.
they're going to let you say whatever you want to say. Now, whether there's repercussions or not, like as far as matchups go, like you're probably getting a hard matchup. You know what I mean? Like you're probably traveling to a country you don't want to travel, or in my case, probably getting stuck in the apex.
Yeah,
I certainly believe that. I certainly believe that some of my career decisions, as far as that kind of stuff goes, I certainly believe it got me stuck in the apex for a few fights.
yeah.
And rightfully so. Like I said, everything I got going on or had going on, I felt like was deservedness. So
Well, this one's gonna be crazy to get you back. I mean, just everything going back to that redirection. To me, when you told me 145, or when I heard 145, I got excited. And then not only is it 145, it's in front of a crowd. Not only is it in front of a crowd, but you get to train at home. You get 2 days a week for sure with Jeff Powell. You get to spend all that time with Matt Harris. A lot of the noise from outside is kind of being muted out, and it's kind of Trevor Peak getting to be Trevor Peak. We've made, you've made peace with a lot of the past. Uh, it just seems like right now is just perfect. And if the Korean man Lee better get ready, because he's getting the best he's getting the Trevor Peak that I first saw. He's getting that guy, the pride of Pisgah, Alabama, that guy that just never stops. Is that how you feel about this, man? It's gonna be insane, Trevor.
yeah, I'm gonna give him that old Sand Mountain special, son. Just give him the whole juice and hammer. By God, yeah, it's gonna be a good one, man. I think this dude will give me the fight that I want to, man. I think he'll get in there and actually scrap with me, man. Like I said, he's a fighter, you know. Chimmy Chong, however you say his name, Chong Young Lee. He's a fighter, man. Like, and his fight nature is to scrap, and I don't think he can go against that nature. I think if he gets tagged, yeah, sure. I don't know, man. It seems like everybody I touch wants to figure out how to become a wrestler. So I
Yeah.
could be totally wrong, man. He might get touched and become daggum Habib. Who knows? But I don't think his nature will let him do that, though, man.
Yeah,
I
but
think his
that didn't do them any favors, the guys that just tried to wrestle you. I mean, we're talking about you getting booked on May 3rd. I mean, the way that they fought you was to survive. It's not like anybody just blew up after they resorted to those tactics. Does that make sense? I mean, you've got a match up.
yeah, the last guy I fought went from opening up the main card to opening up the prelims on this next scheduled bout. Ain't nobody trying to watch that mess.
Right.
Nobody
Right.
trying to watch that mess. And here, I think as far as lineup right now, I'm closing out the prelims. I'm
Right.
still high up on the card, and I lost. I'm a fighter though. You know what I mean? Like, and they made the right choice getting me in front of a crowd, man. I'm gonna show Dana and all them that don't ever put me back in Apex. I hate that place, man.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody coming to Vegas, sit in that daggum tiny room and pay 1,500, 3,500 bucks to watch you fight. Ain't nobody coming out there for that mess, man. It just kills me, man. I watched the same thing TKO's big CEO guy or whatever was talking about, like basically how wonderful the Apex was and how much more revenue the UFC would have if they just pumped out more Apex shows. And I'm like, somebody else getting charged, please. Like,
Yeah.
it ain't, man, you lose the connectivity. You know what I mean? Like if you put all the fights in the Apex, man, like where's the connectivity to the fans? Like where's the connectivity for all of us and everything? The experiences, man. Like I promise you, I didn't fight my tail off for all these years to fight in front of 100 people. I fought in front of more people than that in the woods on Sand Mountain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I fought to feel that vibration in my chest when that crowd's going peak, 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 peak. Oh, I'm get fired up, dude. Get fired up. But that vibration, man, it's crazy. It's till you've been in there, it's so hard to explain, you know. But like you can literally feel it vibrating all the way into your chest, man. Whenever a big shot lands and they all go ooh or something, man, you can feel it, and then you're just like feel like a gladiator down there or something, man. Like I will die on my shield, ready to just die, ready to go out, ready to entertain, man. I want to entertain.
Yeah.
Jump up on the cage and do a backflip. You know what I mean? Do something. I'm a show off, man. You know what I mean? Like I like putting on a show. I'm an entertainer. I like performing for folks and doing amazing, cool things that you know people ain't really seen much of, and just kills that whole vibe when you're in the Apex, man. So hopefully after this one, man, they're like, yep, we don't, yeah, let's keep him in front of the crowd, man. He's a go getter. He likes to bang, and they know I like to scrap. I mean, Sean, like I said in that one interview, Sean come up to me and I was sitting on the ground. He pretty much sat down on the ground with me, and you know, one time told me how much he appreciated how hard I fought and all this stuff, and they know I'll scrap. And I'm gonna give them a reason to never put me back in the Apex again. Hopefully.
Is it eerie just being in there and nothing? I could that's the one thing COVID did bad for fighting. Fighting did a lot of good things for COVID, but I feel like COVID did some bad for fighting in the Apex. I don't even like watching them on TV. I
It
don't.
ain't the same, man. That's kind of what that CEO guy was talking about. You can't even tell there's a crowd. I'm like, what are you talking about, man? The everything from the experience of being at the venue, from the to the experience of someone sitting in their living room.
Yeah.
He's about the business.
Yeah.
We're about the fighting and the pureness and the joy and just the capturing them moments, man. And you can't. Apex is all right, man. I'm grateful for it. It gives me my dream job. You know what I mean? It's where dreams go. It's where dreams come true. But I almost feel like it can be where dreams go to die too, man. That's almost the way it felt for me. It's where my dream. It's where my dream happened, and it's almost where it kind of started to die too, in a sense, man. So maybe they'll get all that figured out. They was supposed to have expanded it, you know, by a few thousand seats. So I don't know, man. Maybe that place is a little bigger. Don't really look bigger on TV yet. So I don't know. I'm just glad to be up in Iowa with my dudes. I'll make. I'm a redneck. I'm sure they'll enjoy me up there. So it's good stuff.
You got Jeremy Stevens on the card. I know a lot of Jeremy Stevens fans will be Peak Nation fans for sure.
Yeah, surely. Gosh, man, we're both little wiry wild men. So they should be. And I mean, there shouldn't be too many Koreans there. I mean, I would think I'd have the home. I would think I would have the hometown advantage of being an American in America. But you know, we'll see.
Yeah.
It's been crazy.
That card's so good. I almost wish you weren't fighting on it so I could enjoy it. You know?
Yeah, I know what you mean, man. I was when they first put. I was one of the first fighters that got put on it, man. And when it slowly started getting built, I was like, man, this is kind of a lame card. And then all of a sudden, I was like, dude, I'm fighting on a pretty jam up card, man. Like this is going to be all right, man. I'm
Yeah,
excited.
me, Bruce, and Rocky Quinn all sat together in Jacksonville. We watched one fight and we got up and left. I mean, but that's always the case, you know. Like when you have somebody that you care about, that you want to see fight, it's always nerve wracking. You'll watch that fight, and then you just, all right, let's go, or let's
Yeah.
go celebrate, or let's go. You don't want anybody. You sure don't want anybody in the crowd, but Rocky is one of my favorite people to watch a fight with. He will.
He's smart, man.
Oh
He
my
gets
god!
into it. Oh my God, he's so smart when it comes to fighting, man. Or it comes to anything. That dude's. I think Rocky's about the most. he might be the absolute most interesting individual I've ever met in my life. He's one of them dudes that's just, I don't know, man. He's just good at everything he does.
Yeah.
Everything he does. He's cool though, man. But yeah, I love being around that guy and watching fights too, man. Which Rocky ain't a fan of. He ain't too big of a fan of the fighters in the UFC, man. He's old school boxing, just been around boxing. His uncle was a boxing legend, just coached all kinds of folks and stuff. And he's just he's a boxing fanatic, man. He loves that stuff, and he feels, and he's right. The technique's so boxing so much further ahead when it comes to just straight skill, especially on the feet, man. I mean, about everything them dudes do on the feet's just so skilled and so high level, and MMA is still evolving, So hopefully, I'm wanting to be the guy that gets in there and looks like some kind of crazy good boxer and everything, man. But at the end of the day, I'm not fighting against myself to look like something that maybe I'm not. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that maybe a little bit of the issue these last couple of fights is I'm fighting against my nature, man.
Yeah.
My nature is I'm gonna get them. I'm just get you. That's my nature, and I feel like I've been fighting against that a little bit, man. And I think that more flashier, more technical, more looking just super calculating stuff like that, man. That's all going to trickle in. But like right here, right now, I'm going to be more refined than I have in the past in certain fights. But one of us is going down, Kyle.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the way I'm fighting, man. One of us is going down, and I ain't planning on it being me.
You make, I mean, for anybody to watch your fights, you make people feel like jujitsu isn't real, especially your old fights.
Yeah.
You get a brown belt on top of you, and you just stand up. You've ever people used to, there used to be a meme. Jujitsu's not real, just stand up. Well, that's for average Joes like myself. That's not the case. You can't just stand up. But I've seen you, Trevor, just stand up. I've seen you do it over and over.
I'm getting up, man. I was like a ash smooch. Might take me I might have to get up 9 times, but I'm getting up. God, yeah. I think they got like 9 takedowns on me.
But it's honestly, man, I'm telling you, it's like a superpower. Like for me, having trained before, I count get-ups honestly higher than takedowns in my brain. That's not how UFC judges it. That's not how fights are judged. But to me, to get up after being taken down is way more significant than a takedown in my brain. That's just, but you have this ability just to stand up. Like nobody else is doing that, Trevor. I mean, take the technique out of the way, you just stand up, bro. And
I'm hard to hold down.
When you're Trevor Peak,
you spend 8 weeks under Torres Finney, and then you get somebody your size under you on top of you, you can stand up.
How excited is he, man?
He's excited, man. I'm so fired up for that dude, man. I'm gonna head out there. I'm going with him and Matt Sunday, next Sunday out to Vegas, and gonna be there with him, helping him, finish dialing things in and everything. He's actually he went down to Florida and spent a good bit of time in Orlando down there at Fusion Excel with Julian and them guys, trying to, there's just a lot more bigger guys down there that can push him and stuff, man. We just now got our gym built, you know what I mean? We're still trying to get some big guys in there with him, and just try to get him some rounds. If any of you's listening to this want to come take the man down, I'll give you $100. I'm serious. Anybody listening to this podcast, if you think you can come take Torres Finney down, I'll give you $100.
Whew, that's pretty tough. I'm gonna guess you're gonna keep your $100. That's what
I'm keeping my dude. I could put up 1,000 and keep it. He ain't taking that boy down, man. I've never seen. I think I've seen Torres maybe get taken down maybe once, maybe twice, but they was like more of like positional rounds, starting out with him in like a crazy deep body lock or something like that. Like, he don't even sleep on his back because of all this stuff. His wrestling coach got in his head when he was a young man something about sleeping on his back. Don't be on your back, you sleep on your belly. And he literally, he was talking about one of these days, I don't even sleep on my back. I was like,
Yeah. Send them in
but
there with a pork chop. See how far they get,
yeah, I'm excited about his fight, man. That dude, I don't think, that dude, he might can get up once. He might can get up once, but I just don't know, man. He's so elite about being able to keep people on the ground, especially when he's doing Torres Finney things and really implementing the things that he's supposed to, like that Cam Ralston fight on his Contender Series, about his second one. That wouldn't Torres didn't fight his fight. That fight, he wasn't doing the things that he normally does, or that guy wouldn't have been able to get up as much as he was. He didn't really look like Torres in that fight, man. But seeing what he's done in every other fight he's ever done, man, he's a different kind of dude on them in that cage and on them mats, man. I can't tell you how many people we had a guy that he lived at American Top Team for like 4 or 5 years. We've had other guys that's gone and lived and trained at Jackson Wink, and every person I've ever watched roll with Torres, other than a couple out in Vegas, has talked about him being the strongest person they've ever gone with. So he's got, dude, I will say this guy is the meanest guy he's ever fought.
Yeah. I
haven't, to my knowledge, not that I can think of anyways, no one that Torres has fought in the past has been, as mean as this guy is. He likes violence. I watched some video of him talking about going up into the mountains and taking mushrooms in the dark, and then the gods coming down with him. Did you see that? Oh yeah, man. He's a character, dude. He's talking about them gods coming down with him, and he's like, they say we wanted blood, wanted violence for your ancestors and stuff. And I was thinking, yeah, man. Then he talked about like getting on into fight weight, and this is after the mushrooms is gone. And he was talking about still hearing them voices and stuff, and he's like, I've discovered this is my power. I'm like, God, dude.
About 12 years ago, I did the same thing, but it wouldn't. They didn't want violence,
Yeah, I'm like, that ain't power, dog. That's schizophrenia.
Yeah, when I did it, I kept looking in the blinds because I thought the cops were coming.
Yeah, I've been there too, man. No, been there too.
Yeah, it's a little wild, man. I don't know about that, but yeah, that's crazy. I'm excited for that though. I saw the crazy tattoos he's got, the Aryan tattoos and all that.
Yeah, he's like one of them Viking dudes that believes in all that Zeus, and I guess I don't know exactly his beliefs, but that Greek mythology type stuff, man. I don't know. It's certainly interesting, but I will say, man, and me and Miles was talking about it, man. Them people that are like that have them beliefs and everything, like, they're usually pretty crazy. Like crazy and like as in like not unstoppable, but like they believe them things, and they feel like they get some. I feel like they get a false confidence from it, I should say.
Yeah.
And false confidence is still confidence.
Yeah.
People get it mixed up. I've talked about false confidence a lot in these podcasts, and throughout my life I've talked about false confidence, but nonetheless, false confidence is still confidence, and it's better to have false confidence than no confidence.
Yeah.
So I think Torres gets him on the ground. I don't think the guy gets up one time, but I mean, got to get him there. He's got some dangerous weapons before Torres gets there, but he'll get him there. That man's a freak, so he'll get it figured out.
Before we get off here, man, 145. Who are the top matchups? Not looking past Lee, but who are the matchups that you see? Who are the top 145ers that you could see yourself fighting?
I wouldn't mind going around or two with Emmett. Like I said, I wouldn't mind going around or two with Josh Emmett just to. We was across from each other having to sign a bunch of autographs and stuff down there in Jacksonville one time. Was doing a little fight poster signing and everything, and I felt like he thought he was way better than me. Like, it's just as a person. I was trying to joke around and talk to him and stuff, and he just wasn't having it. He's kind of, it ain't that I don't like the guy, just everybody's always talked about his power. how powerful he is, and he is, man. He's got a dang good shot, but I think I got a little bit more than him, and I'm wanting to see. But other than him, man, this whole division's full of just fun fights, man. Really fun matchups for me. You know, just straight up, just scraps, fight of the night contenders fights, just some straight up scraps, man. And Diego Lopez, I really want to fight that guy. Like I really, 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 I want to fight Diego Lopez bad, man. Like I hope and pray one of these days, you know, me and him get to scrap because he's fun. He'd be a fun fight, man. It'd be such a fun fight to get in there with. And then you got people like Yair Rodriguez, and there's so many fun matchups. And I'm just
you could possibly fight Sean O'Malley.
Yeah,
as he goes up. You know.
Yeah, I could, man. I mean, it's styles, matchups, all the way around. I mean, it just feels like it makes more sense to me. I mean, it feels like as far as where I'm at and my fight style and everything, what I'm trying to implement and the things I want to do in the fight, man, it just seems like honestly, it seems like it's a little bit funner of a division for me right this second, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I cannot wait. I cannot wait for Iowa. I can't wait to see what happens next, man. I know this fight for Lee is going to be a tough fight. And for you, it's going to be the redirection and the renewed Trevor Peak that I'm excited to see, man. I cannot wait, man. Anybody you want to thank real quick before we get off here, brother?
Yeah, I want to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for loving me, man, and just being a gracious God. You know, Jesus really made it too easy on us down here, man. In certain ways, I think about it often, man, especially whenever you get into the Old Testament and everything, and you get to reading like you used to sin, like had to stand up and tell everybody everything you did, and then like you'd have to go slit a cow's throat and throw blood and burn fat on an altar, and the Roman was pleasing to the Lord, man. There were so many things that we had to do, and you had to talk to the high priest to get the word to God, and there was just so many more things that we had to do to have a relationship with God. And now, just talk to him.
Yeah.
And as far as the repenting, and there's just so many things, man, that he just made it way easier on us, man, to have a relationship. And I'm so thankful that he's gracious. And I just thank you, Matt Harris, Jeff Powell, Rocky Quinn, all my coaches here. You know, thank you to Dwayne Ludwig and everybody out in Colorado, Ben Charrington, Trevor Whitman, you know, Gaethje and all them guys, John Kuhneman, and I just had, man, I've been surrounded. I've been blessed. So many people's been put into my life, man, that have just, oh man, just huge mile marker people in my life. People I'll always remember. People I'll always be grateful for. And thank you, Kyle, for putting all this stuff together, man, being so cool and trying to promote me and come up with little extra ideas for me to, you know, be successful and everything, man. And before we get off here, I don't know if I talked about it or not, man. The whole back to my root things or whatnot and everything. I asked Sam if he wanted to corner me in this fight.
Oh man, that is awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited about it, man. I just thinking about some other things, man. I had a funeral and stuff earlier today. Head's a little scattered, a little foggy, but yeah, man. I don't know. God kind of laid it on my heart. You know, we've certainly had our rough ends of certain things, wrongdoings on my end, and maybe a little on his, and just kind of drifted apart. But I just kept thinking, you know, that whole back to the roots, and I'm like, it's kind of hard to get back to your roots if you don't go find the dude that got you in all this stuff, man. So those things kind of fell into place, and I didn't set out to go rekindle a friendship to get back to my roots. It happened, and God laid it on my heart that he should, that I think he should be there with me on this one, and because I ain't many people in the world get me more pissed than that guy. He'll get me ready to eat through barbed wire. I'll be lucky if I don't fight Sam before I fight daggum Chong Yong Chimmy Chong, by God. I'll be lucky if me and Sam don't scrap outside the daggum UFC octagon on worldwide television, but it'll be fun, man. And he's got his kickboxing stuff going on, or his gym, backyard kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, trying to get them. It'd be good for his resume, you know, and I just thought it would be a kind of a full circle moment, man. Like we used to I'd my first knockdown, like real true street fight. Sam was with me. He's the reason I got in the fight. My first ever cage fight. Sam called me that day, asked me if I wanted to go fight. I mean, there's just we drove in a little beat up daggum smoking truck all the way to Birmingham one time, man, and we're growed up now. Before I tell this part, but like Sam had to go in Walmart and steal a weight scale for me to check my weight, and then they took me to McDonald's and set me inside of a McDonald's for hours because we got there too early. So I had to sit there dying in a McDonald's with all the food. It was just, there's been so many cool memories with that cat, man. And I think it'll be fun, man. I think it'll be good to have him there and have him in the corner. And I know he'll get rowdy. And if any kind of the slightest bit of head funk pops up, any kind of doubt, I know he'll bring that out. You know, he'll do something to make me want to kill him. I'll forget about it.
Yeah, I mean, everything I know about this business honestly started with Sam. He taught me a lot. He's younger than me, but he taught me a lot of this business, and I wouldn't be talking to you today without Sam. So I think it's awesome, man. That's a true step in the right direction. I think it's good for both of y'all. I think it's good for the community and just everything, man. I'm stoked. I didn't know that. I'm stoked about it.
Yeah. I hadn't. They had. I think he'd made a big thing about sponsorships the other day, and I'd shared it or whatnot. But yeah, I hadn't. This, I guess, the first time I've really had a chance to tell everybody on this podcast or whatnot, man. But yeah, I think it's gonna be good, man. It'll be, you know, Sam dreamed of being a UFC fighter since I was 14 years old. I mean, I whenever I first met him, he dreamed of being a UFC fighter. So to get him to the next thing closest to that, you know, down there beside that cage, I figured that would be a pretty cool dream for him and me both. That's part of mine too, you know. I have him down there with me at least for one of them, man, you know, and get to feel that vibration, that peak. Wait, dude, I'm so excited.
He may have you so fired up you may not leave home without Sam.
Yeah. Oh man, I know.
I can't wait, man. It's going to be Iowa's going to be a great show. It's good to see you at one again here. It's going to be great to see you at 145, man. I'm sure we'll hop on another podcast before then. More importantly, Trevor's going to be training, so these may not be as frequent during training camp, but we're still going to get at it. And brother, thank you so much.
Thank you, Kyle. I appreciate everything you do, man. Love you, brother.
Love you too, man. All right, see you guys.
See you guys.